On the sixth day of the battle, the Pandava army was arranged in the shape of a crocodile, while the Kaurava forces took on the formation of a heron. Arjuna and the king of Panchala led the Pandava forces at the front, while the twins served as the eyes of the formation. Bhimasena stood in the center, with Ghatothakesha and Satyaki flanking the sides, and the rest of the soldiers forming the body of the army. On the Kaurava side, in their heron formation, Bhishma and the royal teacher stood at the beak. Kripa and Ashvatthava formed the eyes, while Kritavarma was positioned as the head. The kings of Balaka and Kamboja were at the throat, and Suryodhana, along with his brothers, made up the belly. Vinda, Anuvinda, and Sasarma held the left and right wings, and Srutayu and Bhurisrava guarded the rear. As the battle began, Drona led the charge for the Kauravas, while Bhima opposed him on behalf of the Pandavas. In a fierce clash, Drona struck Bhima 9 times, but Bhima retaliated by killing Drona's charioteer. Drona was forced to drive his own chariot. Bhima's onslaught was so fierce that the Kaurava army started to retreat. Seeing their forces faltering, Bhishma and Drona urged their soldiers to stand strong, leading a counterattack. Chaos soon erupted, with both armies thrown into disarray. The battlefield became littered with bodies, shattered chariots, and broken weapons. In the midst of this confusion, the Kaurava brothers, Dusasana, Durvashaha, Durmata, Dazaya, Jaya, Jayatsena, Vikarna, Chitrasena, Charchitra, and Suvarna, saw an opportunity. Dusasana rallied his brothers, urging them to seize the moment and surround Bhima to kill him. "Now is our chance," he cried. "Let us corner and slay this fierce warrior before he causes more damage." Sensing the danger, Bhima spoke to his charioteer, "Visoka, the Kaurava brothers are closing in on us with their chariots. If I stay here, my movements will be restricted. I'm getting down to fight with my mace. Don't be afraid. Stay back and wait for the right moment." With that, Bhima leapt from his chariot, armed with his mighty mace, and charged toward the enemy, smashing chariots and elephants in his path. His ferocity drew the attention of the Pandava leaders. Drishtadyumna, concerned for Bhima, went searching for him. When he found Bhima's chariot empty, his heart sank. "Visoka, where's Bhimasena? Why are you sitting here?" "I'm worried about him. I care for him more than my own life," he exclaimed. Visoka, standing tall and composed, saluted and responded, "General, Bhima has gone ahead with his mace, anticipating an attack by the Kaurava brothers. He asked me to stay behind, but there's no need to worry." Drishtadyumna followed the trail of destruction Bhima had left, fallen elephants and wrecked chariots. At last, he found Bhima, surrounded by the Kaurava brothers, fighting fiercely. Bhima charged into the enemy forces with the agility of a snake and the power of a giant. Drishtadyumna, seeing that Bhima was unharmed, was relieved and asked him to climb into the chariot of Kakaya. Bhima accepted the offer, and Drishtadyumna launched an attack on the Kaurava brothers. Meanwhile, Yudhishthira ordered Drishtaketu and Abhimanyu to assist Drishtadyumna, Kakaya, and Bhima in the battle. As the fight raged on, Drona came to the aid of the Kaurava princes and engaged Drishtadyumna. In the fierce confrontation, Drishtadyumna's bow was repeatedly broken, and Drona even killed his charioteer and destroyed his chariot and horses. Abhimanyu quickly came to the rescue, offering Drishtadyumna a ride in his own chariot. Soon after, a new chariot was brought, and Drishtadyumna resumed the fight against his teacher, Drona. Meanwhile, Visoka returned with Bhima's chariot, and Bhima climbed back aboard. At that moment, Duryodhana arrived on the scene, attacking Bhima alongside his brothers. Bhima was frustrated, knowing he had missed a prime opportunity to eliminate the Dhartarashtras, while they too were disappointed that their plan to trap Bhima had failed. The battle dragged on without a clear outcome. At one point, Bhima and Duryodhana found themselves face to face, exchanging heated words and even more furious arrows. Bhima struck down Duryodhana's battle standard, killed his charioteer, and smashed his chariot into pieces. Duryodhana collapsed on the ruins of his chariot, unconscious. Kripa hurried over, pulled Duryodhana into his chariot, and provided him with first aid. Duryodhana had been hit in multiple places, and Kripa carefully removed the arrows from his armor. Drishtadyumna, meanwhile, continued to battle the Kaurava princes. He unleashed a special missile, known as the stupor weapon, given to him by Drona himself. The weapon knocked the Kaurava princes unconscious in their chariots, leaving them appearing nearly lifeless. Panic spread through the Kaurava camp. Drona quickly arrived and used an anti-stupor missile to revive the princes, bringing them back to consciousness. Elsewhere, Jayadratha launched an attack on Bhima, while the Kaurava princes turned their attention to Abhimanyu. Fighting alongside Abhimanyu was Satanika, Nakula's son, both fiercely defending themselves against the enemy's advances. Bhima and Arjuna battled fiercely in another part of the battlefield until the sun began to set. As night approached, Bhima called for a halt in the fighting, signaling the end of the day's hostilities. After darkness fell, Duryodhana went to Bhima's camp, still bearing the wounds from his fight with Bhima. He showed Bhima his injuries, and with great care, Bhima applied a healing balm to Duryodhana's wounds. Duryodhana, feeling troubled, spoke to Bhima, "O great warrior, I truly relied on you to defeat the Pandavas. I even asked Karna to step aside to show my faith in you. Even now, I still hope with all my heart that you will conquer them. I am placing my trust entirely in you." Moved by Duryodhana's words, Bhima comforted him, saying, "Do not lose hope. Both life and war are full of ups and downs, like waves in the ocean. Remember, you are the commander of the greatest army the world has ever seen. The Pandavas' strength is already wearing down. In fact, it is they who should be worried, not you. Your army remains strong. Wait and see what happens tomorrow." Encouraged by Bhima's reassuring words, Duryodhana returned to his quarters and slept peacefully, confident in the outcome of the next day's battle.